Okay, as you've read the blog, we are focusing on the Hebrew word Olam. So this is how you spell it in English or pronounce it, Olam, and it means eternity or ancient. It also has a reference to worlds. So in Jewish tradition and thinking, it speaks about the four worlds of Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, is the Olam worlds. So, but we're not going to focus on that. We are just focusing on the straight meaning of in the dictionary of Olam, which is eternity and ancient. So I just wanted to, just for interest's sake, just so you know how we pronounce it, the ayin. The ayin is silent, and then you have a vav. Above there is the cholim. So that is what gives you the O sound. This is lamed, the L. Here at the bottom is the patach, which gives you the A. So this is O, L, A, M. There's the mem. So just for interest's sake, just so that you can understand the reading. When we look at the word, the ayin has a numerical value of 70, the vav 6, lamed 30, and the mem has a numerical value of 40. So when we plus them together, we get 146, and 6 plus 4 is 10 plus 1 is 11, and then 1 plus 1 is 2. And the second Hebrew letter in the Aleph, Bet, is Bet, and Bet means temple. So let's put Bet in there. So there's a reason we are doing this. The other Hebrew word that I mentioned in the blog was the Hebrew word agol, which means circle. Let's put circle there. And this is important because, as you saw in the blog, Greek thinking has a start and it has an end, but Hebrew thinking does not have a start or an end. It is circular, so it always goes never ending, and it just keeps on going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's how Hebrew thinking operates. So when you think of this Hebrew word of agol, the ayin, once again, has a numerical value of 70, gimel 3, and lamed 30, which gives us a total of 103, which 3 plus 1 is 4, and the fourth Hebrew letter is dalet, so we put dalet in there. It is important because what it is trying to tell us is that when we embrace eternity and that there is no beginning or end, it means that the sons of God, from the start to the finish, everything comes together within the sons of God. I know that's something to wrap our minds around because we are so programmed that something starts and that something ends. But when we start to realize that the beginning and the end comes together within us and we operate from within that place, the possibilities are endless. Something interesting that I picked up, if we think of Bet as the temple, that one there, and Dalet, which means gate or doorway, a Hebrew word is, if we put the Bet and the Dalet together, is a Hebrew word that means but, and but means pole, and its reference is the poles that are set in between the rings of the Ark of the Covenant. So the Levites would carry the Ark of the Covenant on their shoulders on these poles. So in other words, it means that you as a temple are the gateway for the unlimited manifestation of the presence and the glory of Yahweh. It is always within you. It is always manifesting in you. And you, as the temple, are the gateway and the manifestation of Olam, or eternity, the beginning and the end, right in the middle within you. And we just, as sons of God, we just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It is actually a complete different way of thinking of who and what we are as sons of God. So we are today, let me just go out here. So we are today, we want to engage and unlock that eternity and that circular beginning and end that comes together within us as sons of God. We want to engage and unlock that in our DNA so that we can experience the manifestation of that within our lives. Now, if you just think of, I just want to read that last piece that I wrote in the blog. As a new creation being, Olam creates realms for the sons of God to operate multi-dimensional. Your body is not a restriction. It is a manifestation point, just like time. As a new creation being, you can fetch from the past, gather from the future, and manifest it in the presence. Remember, you are in time and in a body, not because you are bound and restricted, so that eternity and the ancient paths have a point of manifesting or manifestation within into your present circumstances. All right. If Olam is within you, when you are the extension point of all dimensions of time, which means you have the ability as a new creation being to function way beyond your time and space. Alrighty. Okay, we're going to start our attention, and I want you to just get comfortable. And then we're going to start our breathing. I want you to breathe in from your nose, breathe out from your mouth.
Recording.
Yes, we are recording. I want you to picture Yahweh in front of you. See him blowing his breath in you. You are breathing his breath in, and you are blowing out into his breath. So see that circular motion as you start to breathe. Breathing helps calibrate your body, soul, and your spirit to interact together. I'll just give you a minute just to get into that framework and just What I want you to focus on as you are breathing in and breathing out, be aware of Yahweh releasing eternity in the breath. Remember, the breath always creates or contains the blueprints of creation. So you're breathing in that blueprint of eternity, of Olam, and you're breathing out. So just let your spirit man be aware of what you are breathing in and out. As you are breathing, be aware of the blood of Jesus that's entangling with your blood. Jesus is the gateway. Allow your body to feel that it's ascending. It starts to feel light. It's starting to come in line with what your soul and your spirit is experiencing. As you are breathing, I just want to read the scripture that was in the blog, Deuteronomy 30:27. The God of ancient time, the God of Olam, is a hiding place, and underneath are the arms of eternity, or the arms of Olam. As you are breathing, the breathing, continue to breathe. It's an important part of the engagement. I want you to move towards Yahweh. I want you to see that within him that a door is opening and that your spirit man is moving into that door as you are going into him as a hiding place. Now, as you move into him, I want you to see a clock see the Hebrew letter Aleph, Taf, beginning, end, on that clock. So in other words, all of time is consistent within him. Now, as that scripture says, the God of ancient time is a hiding place. I want you to move towards that realm within Yahweh and just see your spirit man going in to that clock, and you can feel your spirit just lapsing into a different realm. And I just want you just go deeper. Whatever it is you are seeing or experiencing, you just move deeper with your spirit into Yahweh, into that ancient time, that capsule of eternity, and you continue to move into that. Be aware of what you see, be aware of what you feel, as you just continue to go deeper. As you are moving deeper, I want you to start seeing it is like a ball of fire, of glory burning. And I want you to move towards it. In this, I want to say capsule, is Olam, eternity. As you get closer to it, you can see the DNA of Yahweh running through it, however you want to imagine that. And you want to go and position yourself within this round circle, the goal of that glory of eternity. I want you to move and step into that circle. When you are into that circle, I want you to experience or just feel that your DNA have doors, and those doors are opening as they are starting to entangle with the frequency and the vibration of that capsule of eternity. Eternity has been placed into your heart. So you, as a son of God, have eternity. So that which is in your DNA is entangling with the DNA of Yahweh inside that circle of eternity. So I just want to give you a minute and just engage with what is busy happening there within your spirit man and your DNA, because in that circle, it is recalibrating and it is aligning the doors within your DNA to receive and release eternity. So just go through the experience and what Jesus is doing in and through your DNA. Now, as that scripture said, underneath are the arms of eternity. So as you are in that hiding place, in that circle, I want you to just experience the arms of eternity, because eternity is a being. There are angels that facilitate and manifest eternity. And just see Yahweh's arms coming from under you and ushering eternity up into your spirit and into your DNA. So with that motion of that upward coming up within you, experience and breathe in that frequency that is being released by the push of his arms of eternity, or Olam, being released into and activated in your DNA. So you breathe it in and you feel that frequency rising up, and you breathe it out. You breathe in that frequency and you feel it in your flesh as it tingles and it entangles and opens up the realms and the gateways within your DNA, and you breathe it out. So the breathing helps you to engage with what is being released into your spirit. Once again, be aware of what is happening around you, the angels that partake and participate in what Yahweh is releasing in you. as you are breathing in, what his arms are releasing eternity in and through you, I want you to see it's like a galaxy turning around you with stars, but it's not stars, it's time. And you can see them, the letters, the 1, 2, 3, 4s, the hours, the minutes, the seconds. And it's like this massive hurricane that is swirling around you of time. I want you to see how within you, the Olam, within your DNA, it's the magnet. And see all that time and space is turning and turning in circular motion, but going inwards and inwards towards you. So it is finding its fulfillment into that olam that is within your DNA. So it's turning, but the turns become, or the circular motions become smaller and smaller as it goes into your DNA. As it goes into your DNA, as it moves into your DNA, I want you to see the time that is from the beginning and the time that is towards the end, beginning and end of eternity. I want you to see that circular motion just coming together, and it entangles with your DNA and the olam that is within your heart. Just go through that experience as it circulars and moves into your DNA. Right, now that capsule that you saw, that circle, that olam, the glory, I want you to see how it changed from you being in that circle and that whole circle being within you and in your DNA. Just take a minute and just experience that transition from you being in it to it being inside it, and transitioning to being inside of you and your DNA. As you are in that space of eternity in Yahweh, I want you to just make the mental shift that you no longer stand in time, but time is positioned within you. So from eternity past to eternity forward, it all exists within you. It's within Olam, which is within, placed within you and in your DNA. So in other words, you in that space are in charge of time and space. You administer time. There's no such thing that says, I don't have time or time flies, because it all exists within you as you are in the God of eternity. Now, as you are in that place, I want you to see the angel who is in charge of time comes to you, and he puts the seal upon your DNA of the Olam that is within you. And he stands guard at that gate of eternity within you. Now, I want you to think, I know you had no time to prepare for this, but I want you to think of, and if you can't hear, then in your meditation or quiet time, of a situation that is in need of time. So in other words, when you pray for someone's salvation, there's time attached to that, or it's work or project or anything like that. Whatever it is, I want you to think of that situation and you take time out from within you and you allocate it to that situation. So, in other words, when you allocate it time, you are positioning it into the physical realm to manifest its purpose. As we're going to close off this engagement, another exercise, I want you to see everything from the past and the future, not in a line, but that it exists within you in Olam, in eternity. So in other words, you occupy that space from eternity past to eternity future. Though you have a birth date, it is just when you stepped into the physical realm, but you existed before that already. Now you've expanded your spirit, you've unlocked the realm of consciousness of that eternity within your spirit, man, within your DNA, so that your flesh can start engaging and understand its position within eternity. And as you are there in that presence, in that eternity within Yahweh, all of time and space exists within you as you are in Him who is the God of eternity. We don't want to leave that space because we've unlocked that space. Angel of Time has sealed it on our DNA. So just there where you are, you just become aware of your physical surroundings, your immediate surroundings, and you can just open your eyes. I know it can be, for some, quite a new experience, and wait, what? But the biggest mistake we have made in Christianity, and especially in the Pentecostal charismatic movement, we are always in the process of becoming. There's always a demon to cast out. There is always a healing that needs to take place. There is always a deliverance that needs to play. There is always a curse to be broken. When we start to unlock and realize who we are in Him, we start to function differently. When we step in who we are, instead of being caught in the trap of always becoming that we think or what Jesus wants us to be, rather than stepping into who we are already in Him, we will start to see the fruits and the manifestations of our sonship and being positioned in Him. Marcel put there, eternity is released through you as divinity because you are the Son of God. You are positioned on that mountain. So some of the things that we do might be a new engagement and it might be unfamiliar to you, but it is unlocking new realms of who and what you are in Christ. That's why Jesus said, you are God's. Oh, we won't see someone preach that sermon in church, but there's a reason Jesus said, you are God's, because we are like Him, because He is in us. You are an Elohim, so not a God to be worshipped, but you have His DNA in and through you. And if I have His DNA, I want everything of Him manifesting in and through me. I want to be like my dad. I want to create like my dad. I want to do everything that my dad does. Period. A religious spirit doesn't like that. Don't give a rat's toenails. I want to do exactly what my Father does. Alrighty then. I'm going to open up for you so that you can share some of your experiences. So just remember to unmute yourself and you can go 3, 2, 1. While we wait for someone to start, Sunil just asked, how do we access the new site? The new site is not up yet. I get the first draft next week to go through the stuff. And so we're probably 3 weeks away from the site being functional. Go for it, Selena.
Could you put that graphic, the first graphic you used, could you put that up again? And now that we've done the ascension, I kind of wanted to just visually look at those. That first one,
For
it went
sure.
too fast.
Okay. I'm going to ask someone else to share quickly while I get that. And then I'll towards the end, I'll just put it up for you guys to take a screenshot, etc.
I just had a question from the teaching that says, as a new creation being, you can fetch from the past and gather from the future and manifest in the present.
Yes.
I don't quite understand about fetching from the past. Or is that what we did when we engaged in a time in the past?
So in other words, technically time, past, present, and future all come together within you. So even though something has already manifested on a timeline, you can still access the blessing and the inheritance of everything from the past. So that's why I would, for instance, pray into my bloodline. And every godly inheritance that is within my bloodline from the past, I go fetch it. And I speak and I release it into my current circumstances. I ask Jesus to show me who and what I am in the future. And I start to access that and the promise. And that is part of the promise and the mountain that God speaks of who and what you are. And I start to speak and release that that's in the future into my current circumstances. So what I mean by that statement is that you are no longer bound by time and space. Time isn't something, and space isn't something that restricts you, but it is the capsule for you to manifest the spirit realm into the current circumstances, because that's why you were born in the time span that you are alive now, because Jesus chose Elizabeth to be alive now, because this is her time capsule of manifestation, that he chose that this time frame is where she needs to engage past, present, and future and release it into her circumstances now. So it's important to know that's why you are alive now, is that because God aligned the realms over you as Diane to step into and manifest those into the circumstances, because there's specific things that can only be released through you. That's why you're alive now. And that's why creation looks to the sons of God for the manifestation of the sons of God, because you have something specific creation needs right now, and that's why you're alive in this time and space. So that's why people can never say, what is my actually, because, actually, what is my plan? What is my purpose? The fact that you are here right now means the purpose and plan is so rich, because you could have been born in the dark ages or whenever it is now, because you have something that is specifically upon Jackie that needs to be released into this realm right now. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. That was a great explanation.
Hi, my name. Hello, can I?
Go for it, Shah.
Thank you so much. I'm so blessed by this experience. This is my first one. When you talked about being in the circle, I actually was guided to just stand up, and there was a circle around me, and I heard singing, so much singing. I never had no experience like that before in my life. And I'm just, I don't know, except amen. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Shah.
May I share?
Go for it, Jen.
So when we first engaged, I was seeing purple and blue kind of swirling around the like just such a deep, rich heaviness, but it wasn't obstruction. So it was just moving around me. And I was beginning to like taste such a I don't know if it was taste, but sense such a complex, rich environment, as if you were tasting a really rich, deep meal, right? And then when you did, I saw the fire before you said it, which was awesome. The finger of the fire to like reach into every part of my DNA and do the divine exchange, like remove the dross, remove whatever's not necessary. So just recalibrating was what you said after that. So that was really cool. And then I was also hearing song, and there was a dance and the angels engaging and moving gently but steadily. And I felt the upward movement before you said it. So it was just so cool. I love it. And I was hearing revive, like the song saying, revive, revive, awaken, like an echo, awaken, remember, remember. And then I hear this like crescendo of echad, like it blew me away. But what really blew me like physically was I was in the DNA, but I actually saw mem final hold, and then there was the transition of mem final. It all like came in me. Mem held it, and it was all peaceful and calm. Like the chaos of time, it came from out to within, held peace, shalom. And then when you said the angel of time come to stamp on my DNA, in my right ear, I felt and sensed like a tuning fork reverberation, and I could see the sound waves in my physical and natural or spiritual. It was unlike I've ever experienced before. I felt it was, thank you, phenomenal. Thank you so much. Really impactful today.
Amazing, Jen. Thank you for sharing.
I'll quickly go.
Go for it, Marcel.
Cool. Mine was a short and sweet, but very powerful and as I meditated on my meditation, got a little bit more out of it than I thought I would. When I stepped into the doorway into God, it wasn't God. I knew I was stepping into Aleph again. I saw Aleph the first time. And as I stepped in, I actually started falling through a tube of water, like a water down a funnel. But then it turned and I started walking on it like Jesus walked on the water. At the end of it, I got to eternity. I got to a black open space. There was nothing. And I thought, okay, I'll step. Managed not to fall, but I stepped in. I just went and sat down in a meditation position. And I waited there for a minute until you mentioned the fire. And as soon as you mentioned the fire, and to be specific, it went from I could see it going from my pineal gland. Immediately, it shot like a gas igniting through my whole body, and I was as fire. As I was sitting there as fire, I then stepped out of myself, walked around myself, and sat in front of myself and looking at the fire. But that wasn't a body. It was just my consciousness, my conscious. And I sat there again looking at myself. And through that conscious body, I released through my fire body, if I can put it like that. And I could not see the supply from that going back up the tube into the material. Now, my mindset has changed a bit with what is natural and what is physical. My natural has always been. My physical is the material part. And what I found there in that picture as I looked at myself, because it's the first time that I actually stepped without myself in that scenario, and I saw it was my body, my spirit body, if I can call it my natural body, and it is my subconscious stepping out of my conscious and sitting there. And it's the subconscious that is the reality of who I am, the natural me. And yeah, you know where I'm going for this. And it's from there on, it's who I am releasing through the the physical, the natural releasing through the physical.
Yeah.
And one thing I can leave with the people is that ever since I've started understanding the subconscious that I have always been, that is my natural self. I now look from a point of that, but I don't look from trying to go in or I am. And from there on, I live out. And it's changed my whole setting. And I don't think I'll forget this specific engagement because it's such a powerful engagement for me that it has literally changed my view on things.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Marcel. And it goes about remembering, you know, it's actually like that, the remembering that original intent, that subconscious that you're engaging. And
that's one thing I forgot is that is with that subconscious, you have a memory that you just need to awaken because you've already programmed your subconscious with your conscious thoughts. And it's now that your subconscious needs to remember into the conscious so you can remember it.
That's it. Oh, it's exciting stuff. Thank you, Marcel.
Shola, I want to share a vision I had in this whole thing. Is I was walking and I was on a mountain, but underneath on the edge of the mountain, and underneath me was a lot of water. But I knew I had to come on the other side of the water. And as I was imagining it, I was start speaking into it. And when I was looking back, I was on the other side of the water. Without, I don't know, I just got on it. I was speaking in the situation that I can be on the other side. And then when I look back, I was on the other side, no more on the mountain. I don't know how to explain it.
Awesome. Thank you, Beulah. And you know the water, you know, when we saw on the blog, it is that bouncing in between the mysteries and secrets that activates that eternity within our DNA. So thank you for sharing, Beulah. Is there anybody else who'd like to share?
Can I share, Charles?
Go for it, Nalene.
Yeah. Tonight was profound. I mean, yeah, you know, when the whirlwind that took me, and then you started speaking about it, it just took me, and the singing and it was unreal. And then you started talking about the circle. That was just so special because I stepped into the circle, but it wasn't empty. It was fire. There was just fire. It was this lake of fire almost. And it was quite scary at first. I thought, oh, what's this? And I stepped in and it was an all-consuming fire, but it was amazing. Oh, it was, and as I was standing there, it was like, then you started talking about the DNA and how I saw the fire going into, you know, if you look at the chain of DNA and it's got like the little bubbles on the end, if I can put it that, they all popped open and these blue flames started shooting out of it. And it was like, I knew God was literally burning up everything that wasn't supposed to be there. And it ran down my DNA. And there were parts of my DNA that were destroyed because my father was a very high-level Freemason. And I've dealt with that, but I know there were parts of my DNA and my God said to me, that was your father's DNA. And he just, as it ran down there, it rebuilt it, but so beautifully, and it went gold, and it just, it was like restoring everything that had been stolen, and then it just kept going down. And then he reminded me of an experience I had 10 years ago. And I wish I could find what I'd written down, but I do remember this so clearly because it's always bugged me. My DNA became a self-encapsulated time machine. And then you started talking about going into time. And I was like, I remember that. Lord, I remember this. Why have I forgotten? And he just said it just wasn't my time to understand it when I got it. And as we went into the clock, and it just, my whole DNA changed, and eternity just, it became part of eternity. And God said, you can go anywhere, forward, backwards, in, round. It was just brought, I can't even describe it because it was an instant understanding of what he'd given me 10 years ago. And I was just, wow, God, thank you. It bugged me for 10 years because I never understood that. And as I saw it, and I still can't tell you what it is, but I know my spirit got it. He showed me everything that was being restored in my life. It was, oh, yeah, wow. It was incredible. Thank you. Tonight was phenomenal.
How nice is
yeah, there's
that
still so much on it.
confirmation? How nice is that confirmation, you know?
Yeah,
Of,
absolute confirmation. But I mean,
of
10
that
years.
time machine,
But he said,
etc.
we are,
Yeah.
man. And what was incredible about that was as he was restoring my DNA, I started understanding what, is it Marius, was talking about being, we are already,
Yes.
we are self-healing, we are already wealthy, we are already everything that Father has said. And these things, as they popped open in my DNA, it was just like, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, I can't just, it was too much. That my mind, I think.
Oh, awesome.
Excited where I'm going to go.
Thanks for sharing, Nolene. Tyree, I see you want to share. I'm going to give you a chance to share now. What you guys must now practice is to administer time. If time is within you and in your ability to distribute, you need to learn and practice it in your daily life. So in other words, in circumstances or in precious situations, or where we often find ourselves, oh, I don't have enough time, you know, that kind of scenario, then we remember, but hey, I possess time, you know, and eternity is extended from me. So you need to learn that in your circumstances, that I, as a son of God, I release time within my circumstance, or whatever the situation is. Learn to take that time that's within you and distribute it into your circumstance. So you might not necessarily see time extend, but you will see yourself fulfill what you were supposed to do within that time that you had. So it's like a supernatural, like with Joshua, the sun standing still, etc. Because creation looks to the sons of God for their fulfillment. That's what, if you, for some of you who might not know, in the beginning of the year, I spoke about time, and that we don't say that I wonder what 2021 has in store for me. Bull twang. 2021 looks to you as to its fulfillment, because the sons of God possess eternity in their hearts. So you are the one that tells 2021 what its function is and what it needs to release within this year, because the sons of God are in charge, not 2021 or a coronavirus, you know. We are the ones that administer time and space. Tyree, you can go for it.
Okay, thank you. So mine's gonna be real short. So when we stepped through the door, I was being co-enclosed into like the shadow, almost like the mystery of Jesus. And
when I journeyed further into his shadow, into the mysteries of him, I found myself in his blood. I found myself being pulled into his blood. And from there, I felt like he began to tell me that eternity is in his blood.
Oh, that's it. Amazing. Thank you, Tari, for sharing that. I just want to know, that picture that I see, is that you standing there?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
Okay. Great. Thank you for sharing, Tari. That is fantastic.
Yo.
Paula, you got your hand up. You can share, and then Avril after her, and then Diane, you can go after Avril. Paula, you.
Hello, sorry. Can you hear me?
We can.
My Wi-Fi is a bit wonky. I saw a lot of things, but I want to share the time thing and it manifesting here. A few years back, I was in my car listening to a radio, and in the middle of a thing, I changed channels, and this woman was talking about time and how God gave her more time, and the faith built because of miracles she experienced. That I knew she was an evangelist. I didn't know her name. I didn't know anything about her, but her story was she was supposed to get to the airport in half an hour, and she had, I don't know, she was 2 hours away, and she had to make it to get to the next country for ministry. And she just prayed, and she said, Father, I asked for miracle time. And she got to the airport, and when she stopped at the airport, was actually, the time was before she left. And it was a long story, but it made such an impression on me. I can't remember everything she said, but it just fell. And one morning my alarm didn't go off. I was so late, and I just got calm, and I remembered her story, and I said, Father, I'm asking for miracle God time. And I think in the natural, I thought, you're so late, and anyway, it doesn't matter, just take your time. Got everyone up, and we got to school and work the same time we do every morning. And I woke up about an hour later, so it was impossible, and nobody rushed. And since then, it's happened so many times. Even I told my dad about it, because he used to fetch me for church, and he was late, and he said, we're not going to make it in time, and we won't have time for coffee. And I shared, and I said out loud in the car, Father, we asked for miracle time, and we got there 20 minutes early. We had coffee and everything. So I have seen it so many times, and I feel, once you've experienced it once, the faith that you have, it's just easy to do it more and more and more. But I'd love to do that, go back, go future. The future thing, I've seen the future, how to administer that time, or who I am here, that I'm going to practice. It's very exciting. Thank you so much.
Oh, awesome. And I love that testimony. Thank you, Paula. It is just, it's plain daily stuff, and it's relatable. It's not that big, it's a simple thing of, I'm going to be late for church. You administer the time, So fantastic example. Thank you, Paula.
I think about 6 years later, I found out it was Heidi Baker who told the story.
There we go. Yeah. Thank you. Avril, Dawn, you're next.
Hi, Charles. I have a question about your blog, but before I do, I'll just share a few things about what I experienced. Mine was all about movement. I actually stood up and started moving my body as I was feeling I was moving within time. And especially when you said we were in the time like capsule, and then the capsule was within us, that was incredibly just full of movement and swirling around and circles and ovals. And then I also found myself right in the middle of the blue sapphire gel, in the middle of it all, from a few weeks ago. So it was like, oh, wow, now I'm back in the throne room, but eternity also comes within the throne room, is within the throne room. So that was cool. My question is, from your blog, you said man's actions in the garden unlocked eternity. Can you help me understand that? Because I thought we were already eternal. How did our actions unlock eternity?
Yeah, so yes, they are definitely eternity. People can confuse the engaging the tree of knowledge and evil as that it was evil, but it was another realm and dimension of engaging of who and what we are in Christ. All right. So when Adam and Eve engaged in the tree of knowledge and good and evil, it was not the realm that they were destined or positioned for as yet. So when they engaged within that tree, because eternity is within their hearts, they engaged into a sinful nature and unlocked that sinful nature into eternity, if that makes sense. So if they went and they partook from the tree of life, which would have sealed the eternal fate of them stepping into that, and that's why they were banished out of the garden, so that redemption could take place, so that they could be redeemed from being banned into that eternity of stepping into that sin, if that makes sense. So in other words, when redemption came into place, if they partook of the tree of life, so technically they would have been doomed into eternity. But having been banished out of the garden, they had to wait for Jesus, who was the redemption, so that their eternity could be sealed as to who and what they were destined to be from the beginning. But the only difference now is that with Christ in you, we are even in a better position than what Adam and Eve was in the garden. So that's why I never refer to us as who we were in the garden, because Christ in us, we are in a position and a state that not even Adam and Eve was in. And we predestine or predate that position that they were in the garden of who and what we are within Yahweh. Does that make sense to you, Avril?
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. So we were always eternal, but because of sin, we unlocked the potential of eternity within sin.
That's it, John.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Righty, next person, Diane.
Deanne. Okay, first thing I'm sort of challenged by is, am I making this up? The imagination thing. I know we're supposed to use our imagination, and I'm thinking, is this even real? I don't even know what that is, but it's very vivid. It's very vivid. And I'm just listening to what everybody else has been sharing. I'm thinking, that's really vivid. So the first thing I experienced was I heard the Lord say, take my hand. I was like transported into a meadow, and I heard him say, take my hand. So I did. And then there was a moment where I didn't really know where I was. I didn't even really know what was happening. And then I experienced like a blue light of Aleph, the sapphire Aleph. And then I remembered to engage Samek for some reason. And I felt myself just moving when you started to mention the circle. So I felt I've sort of experienced myself just moving. So I just started to move. in the circle. And I still didn't really understand what was happening to me until I then remembered or heard you say that eternity is in the heart. And then there was like an explosion. And then I got that eternity is a song and also a vibration. And I said, well, how do you carry eternity in your heart? And he said, it's a song, it's a vibration, it's a frequency, and wherever you go, it's always present. And then I saw there was like this explosion of love, and then I actually saw like frequencies going up and down and just extending out into like this big dark black expanse. And then he said, well, how do I know if eternity is in my heart? And he said, you'll hear the hum, you'll hear it humming. So just listen and you'll hear the hum. So I said, okay. And then he said, and that's the vibration of love in your heart. And that's eternity in your heart. It's a vibration of love in your heart. And that's eternity. And then he said, time, and you mentioned about time and space. And what I got from that was like time and space are like building blocks for reality and existence. And when you're using love, applying love and time and space, you're creating and like reality. And they're just like, so I just imagine myself as a child just using the building blocks of time and space to create reality and existence. And then I got live from eternity. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing it, Diane. And I like what you were saying, because Jesus meets each person where they're at. And so explanations can be different, but it's also because the Spirit just meets each person where they at to explain what they can grasp and take and move forward with it from there. So that was fantastic. Thank you for that, Diane. Just before I'm going to give Dorette, you, and then Jen, just before you guys chat, I just want to answer a question. Is that, the question here is our world then the banished dimension and we need to get back to our original through Jesus as the portal? So in other words, our world isn't the banished. You know, our world was destined and is part of the original design, but yet we are in a fallen world that is in a fallen state. So we as sons of God who are in the world occupy the position of releasing a new heaven and a new earth. So in other words, we engage our mountain and our positions as sons of God. And that's why scripture says that creation looks to the sons of God for the revelation of sons of God, because creation looks to us for its fulfillment. So in other words, that we are in the world was created, it was all part of God's plan, but even though the world is still part of the fallen realm, we are here to restore the kingdom of heaven upon earth and to fulfill our mission here upon earth. So we are not in a false reality, but I like The Matrix is a very good movie that is a perfect example where we look at the world, but we need to realize that the spirit realm is the reality really. And we operate from that spirit realm to bring change into the physical realm. So I will give over to you, Dorette.
I think Jen had her hand up first, so she should go first.
Oh,
We'll go for it, then Jen will chat.
It's not a problem, Dorette.
Okay. Okay, then I'll share. Actually, so I first wanted to say to Diane, I when I stepped into the fire and into the circle with eternity, the first thing that the Lord very clearly said to me was, this is reality. So, and I was like, yes, I know. And, but I think he kind of wanted to say to all of us here, like, what we are engaging is reality, is him showing what's really going on. And I have to keep telling myself that to really be in line with that. So, well, then I wanted to share something that happened for me between stepping into Aleph Taf and getting to the fire. Because as I focused on the Aleph, the Lord brought me to the place where the Lamb of God was slain before the foundation of the world. And so this was not what I was expecting to see. But as I focused on the Aleph, I was reminded of the sacrifice. And the Lord said to me, I want you to entangle with this first. I want you to entangle with Jesus as the Lamb of the world. The Lamb was slain before the foundation of the world. And it's something that I've been asking him about, like, what does this mean? And what does this mean for my daily life? And so he said, let this be the foundation from where you live. And I also sensed that he said, if you want your body to be in line with what your spirit is experiencing, this is what's needed. As you entangle with the Lamb of the slain from before the foundation of the world, and if you're entangled with making the decision, I will lay down my life. I will not put myself first. I will lay down my life according to what Father asks me, and really entangle with him rather than decide to live independent. That's when all these other things can come together and you can truly live this. And so as I've been there, and I feel I need to spend more time there, that's when I stepped into the fire, and I saw indeed time twirling around me and all those other things. One thing that I saw that I really loved was that how Father was, I saw the numbers 40, 80, 100, 120, as in kind of like, I saw them almost like expiration dates on our bodies. And I saw them just being erased. Like, those things don't matter. They don't count. And I just heard Father say, no, eternity. This is for eternity. And so it was a lot more, but that was really something that was very special. And I loved what I heard here today from everybody else, because I feel like I get to re-engage as people share. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Dorette. Jane, you next.
So this was really great, Cheryl. Thank you, as always. I was engaging in the circular and toroidal movement when I was going into the time of eternity now. And I saw, I was already beginning to feel my like DNA transforming and all he was doing, but I saw a funny looking, a little yellow vehicle, and I was asking the Lord about what is that for, and he brought me to 2 Corinthians 3:18, with the unveiled face beholding, reflecting the glory of the Lord. I was being transformed into his image from glory to glory. So he was saying this is the glory vehicle. So it was kind of funny way of him showing when we engage eternity, we not only just transform, but we're moving from glory to glory. And I was looking at that top clock, and I was sensing the beginning and completion. It was repeating, and so there's no end. So therefore, that's eternity. So that's the eternity frequency. It's ever increasing with no end. So that was just great. I mean, there's just so many things that was happening. It was just another fantastic experience for engaging in activation. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Jane. Claudia, your hand's up. I think Claudia is rolling on the floor. Is there anybody else that'd like to share before we close?
I just wanted to make a comment that I named my son Khalid. So in Arabic, that is eternity, Olam, which is a Hebrew. So just what you were teaching us, what I didn't realize, because I'm always sort of like engaging the Lord, not from a place of completion, like what you taught us, that we have Olam, eternity, in our DNA. So we possess the complete blueprint. So everything that we need, like the secret codes of creation, what you wrote in the blog, and that Olam sets us above time to co-create with Yeshua. So it's going to change my whole perspective that we have eternity in our hearts. It's within us. It's for us to co-create. We have everything. We have the complete blueprint. So even like praying for my children, they also have that. So I'll come from a place of just releasing that instead of trying to get it, if that makes any sense. Like,
yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. And the key is also we don't always need to understand to release. You know, we can also release without cognitively necessarily completely understanding, but our spirit man understands, you know. So we can release from that place. So awesome. Thank you for sharing. Just to answer a question, someone asked, I heard Vav Olam repeatedly. So that can mean a couple of things, but Vav is man, and it's the number 6. So man in eternity, and the circular motion of eternity in and through man, you know, and man releasing eternity and eternity releasing in through man, you know, so that circular motion. It is actually when you ponder on this concept or revelation of Olam within man, within your DNA, it is rock and roll stuff. It is really so awesome. Audrey, you got your hand up.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I was sitting here underneath my porch in the hammock while we did this, and I kept getting kind of distracted because of bugs flying past my head and stuff. But it was really interesting how even in the midst of the distraction, instead of me getting irritated, the Lord was like, just let me even use that. And so there was some sparrows flying up above me, and they were like chattering at each other and flying around me. And then after I saw the sparrows and they flew away, there was this little bat that I noticed that's hiding down inside of the metal that's on our roof. And it was just kind of like moving back and forth and peeking its head out. And so as everybody has been sharing, I just looked up what those mean. And it was interesting how the bat, I mean, they weren't from Christian sites, but the first one I found said that it symbolizes like consciousness, like being aware of your inner self and all of that. And sparrows are a symbol of like freedom and community. And I just thought it was really beautiful how God even used these signs in nature to confirm with what we were activating in the spirit through these animals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I did also just really powerfully experience and visualize like a vortex of the spirit during all of that, and like going into a huge grandfather clock, and then the person of Jesus. So it was like grandfather, father, Jesus, spirit. It was just really beautiful. And as people have been sharing, it's
just now, I wasn't sure if I was going to share. And so I just prayed if I should or not. And what just ignited in my heart was, before I even knew the Lord, since I was a kid up until I met Jesus at 18, I had this reoccurring dream of me flying or falling through this tunnel of stars, which, as we're talking, the circle, it's really hitting me how it was a circle, like this tube. It's a circular tube, and I'm falling down this circle, and there's stars all around me. And it starts out with the blue sky and these angels sitting on these clouds. And I just keep falling. And then the sky transitions to blackness and redness. And it's like the clouds are red, the angels are red. And I just keep falling. And then I am in space and I'm surrounded by the stars. There's not even any more clouds. It's just all stars surrounding me. And I'm not moving anymore. And so I start looking around me at these stars, and then I see a huge lion staring at me, just sitting on his hind legs, staring at me. And, and that was before I knew Jesus, and I wasn't raised in a Christian home, so I didn't know about Aslan or any of that. So anyways, this is just really powerful for me. And it's like, it's very passionate, because it's like Jesus speaking to me even more about the time, and him being outside of time. And I don't even know all the words to put into it, but I just wanted to share that it's very special.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic engagement. Thank you for sharing, Audrey.
Thank you.
Hi, Sean. Can I share? Ivy.
Perfect. Go for it, Ivy.
Okay.
After you, Monica, then you can go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I want to share the dream I had some days ago. The dream, it was it's like we were inside the bus, and the show was, you were not the driver of that, as you were not the driver, but you were seated very close to the driver. So it's like we were meditating inside the bus. So you were speaking to us, and we were just meditating. So I just woke up. I was like, is it? Did you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. No, I said I had it. I want to talk about the dream I had some days ago. So the dream is like we want to take bus. So we are many, so we want to take bus. But you were not the driver of the bus. You were seated close to the driver. So we were seated at the back of the bus. So it's like the bus we were going, and you were just the way you are doing it, and we were speaking to us like it's like we were meditating. So we were just going, flowing. So I just woke up from that dream. I was like, what is this? Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you something, Ivy? Can you type that for me on the email? And then I can just read it and just ponder on it a bit. It's a bit difficult
All right,
for me
okay. I will. Okay, I
to
will.
give an interpretation now. That will help me. Alrighty. Awesome stuff. I trust that today's engagement was a blessing to you, and it was really great. Monica, I know you still wanted to share before we close.
Yes, it's just something short, but I feel like God would like me to encourage anybody who is like me and kind of new at this, and this is coming and only realizing you exist in this world. Like, what are you guys talking about? Doing what? And so sometimes when we do an activation, I just go with it, and other times I'm like, all right. But I just love how he meets us where we are. As my husband travels a lot for work now, and I used to travel a lot pre-pandemic. And every time we had a calendar thing, because I'm well organized, I would put a slash and then draw a line through all the days and a slash. And that meant that person's gone from the slash to the slash. And so when you said envision time, I saw like calendar pages, numbers, those little rip-off pages of calendars. And then I started seeing a slash and a slash. And then he made it into a circle where the slash was right here and the circle just came out. And like, it just went from thing to thing, because to me, that was time. And so I love how he, wherever we are, will, because everything was so different that everyone shared, wherever we are, he will speak to us in a way that makes sense to us.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Monique. Appreciate it. Wonderful. It was lovely to have everybody on board. It was great to see you all. And looking forward to our next engagement next week. And I'm counting down the days for the new website. I can't wait for it to pop up and